everybody, I'm Chantal Lascaris and welcome to my kitchen. I'm going to be making one of my 15-minute gourmet dishes. This one is called Pesto crusted salmon with roasted carrots. Yay, I got that right this time. We had to try that a few times. Anyway, let's try the recipe. So first things first, we've got to remember that this is 15 minutes. So we've got to time things a little bit. We're going to be using our oven, and this time you have to make sure that you have got two of your sheet trays in there, one sort of at the top and one at the bottom, because we're going to be cooking at the same time. So let's get cracking. I've taken a baking sheet and I've put some tin foil on it. Now you'll see, you kind of wonder why you're using the tin foil. Well, firstly, it's because we're actually going to be topping it. But besides that, I find that tin foil actually protects my baking sheets. I'm so tired of having to throw baking sheets away because they've got that icky burn and then you can't clean it. So I find if I actually put the tin foil over, I cook my food on top, it can get as icky as it likes. I just roll it all up and throw it away, and my baking sheet is still good to go. So enough of that, let's get started on what we're actually wanting to do today. So I've taken some carrots, cut them into halves, because you don't want them too thick, because otherwise they're actually not going to cook fast enough. So we're just going to put them onto our tray like so. I like keeping the stalks on. I think they look so cute like that, and so much better than cutting them into rounds. I think they look like they've got a little bit of attitude. There we go, ready for that. And now what we're going to do is, I've got some orange juice here, I've got some honey, I've got my olive oil and my orange zest. This is what we're going to be using for our carrots. So I'm just going to drizzle some, actually I'm just going to put it straight onto the carrots, like that. Be quite generous because they're going to be cooking in the oven and you don't want them to get too dry and shrivelly. I'm then going to put some of my orange zest. Remember, when you're zesting, only use the orange part. Don't take that white part that you get to just before you get to the flesh, because that's the part that gets all bitter and doesn't taste great at all. So I'm just going to sprinkle this over like that. Aren't these colors gorgeous? You've got the orange of the carrot and you've got the slightly lighter color of the orange itself. I think it looks so pretty. As you can see, I love color. There we go. And now all we have to do is just pour over the orange juice. Go. Now careful it doesn't run everywhere, because we're actually going to make a little parcel of this so that it helps with the steaming. Like that. I like to just make a little cover like so, and then we'll just put our extra layer of tin foil. As I said earlier, we're going to be covering everything, so we'll just do it like that. And we're going to pop this into the oven so that they can get cooking while we start preparing the salmon. There you go. The oven's not too hot, it's sitting at about 160 degrees, which is perfect for both of them. I've now got myself another baking sheet with my favorite piece of tin foil, and I've already got my salmon here. Now a lot of people don't really like salmon skin, so for this time I've actually taken the skin off. Personally, I love the skin. I'm always eating with the skin off my husband's piece of salmon because he can't bear it. But it's actually so good for you to eat the skin. And salmon, just in general, is probably one of the healthiest fish that you can eat. It's full of omega-3s and all that goodness from the sea. Very good for you. A lot of people take pills for omega-3s, but I think it's always so much better to get your nutrients out of proper food. There we go. Now, as you can see, I've got two different sizes of salmon here. So when that happens, you've actually got to be careful that you don't cook them both at the same time, because this piece, the flatter piece, is going to cook a lot faster than this thicker piece. So just keep an eye on it. Even if a recipe says 10 minutes, 12 minutes, just keep an eye on it and see that it's okay. I've now got very sticky salmon fingers, so I just want to go and get some cloth. Sorry, I'm back in screen. Can you see me? Here I am. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to prepare some of the crust. So first things first is we're going to take the breadcrumbs, some fresh breadcrumbs, throw those in. And I've got some grated parmesan. Like that. That's going to make a delicious crust. We'll give that a little stir together, like so. As you can see, there we go. Just mix it all together. And we're going to be putting this over the salmon. But before we do that, we have to season and we have to use the pesto, because of course this is a pesto crusted salmon dish. So we'll go with some black pepper. Oh, I do need to get myself a new pepper grinder. This one's quite stiff. It's a bit of a workout here. Who needs to go to gym when you have to use your pepper grinder? Oh, there we go. A bit of some salt. I'm always one of those people that tends to undersalt. It's got to be careful with sodium, but I always like to season my food, but not too generously. It's always easy. You can just put some extra salt on the table and people can salt the way they want to. Okay, so here we go. We've got our salmon, our pesto, our basil pesto this time around. Because this is a 15-minute gourmet dish, we can't make our own basil pesto, but if you are feeling energetic, then please, on my website, you'll find a delicious basil pesto sauce. There we go. Now we're just going to smear this sort of over our salmon. There I go. Look how it matches my top. Isn't that? Didn't quite expect that, but it looks like I'm toning with the basil pesto, doesn't it? There we go. Again, look at all these lovely colors that are coming through. And as you can see, I'm doing this all straight onto the baking dish. It's really, or onto my baking sheet. It's really easy. You don't need to do it onto one container or one plate and then move it across. Just, as we say, just somewhere do it all on the same plate. Saves with the washing up, that's for sure. There we go. Basil pesto, just remember that if you have got nut allergies, I've got somebody in the family who's allergic to nuts, and you can't give them basil pesto because it's full of pine nuts. So just remember that. There we go. Good helping of basil pesto. And now all that's left is actually to sprinkle over our crumbs that we've made, our crust. Just going to give it another stir. And again, just sprinkle it straight over. Look at that. We only really need to do one side. We don't need to do both sides. Oh, that is going to turn beautifully golden brown in the oven, as you can see. And also any kind of parmesan that you can get your hands on. Parmesan's really expensive, so try and buy the best that you can actually afford, because it really is important to get a good quality parmesan. Certainly don't use any of those pre-packaged ones. It's not really parmesan and they're not really that good for you. So, and we are talking gourmet here, so let's try and make it as healthy and as exciting and extravagant as we can. There we go, we're all ready. And this is now ready to pop into the oven. And we're going to cook this for about 12 minutes. As I said before, just check 1 or 2 minutes beforehand, because if it is the smaller piece, it might cook a little faster. There we go, into the oven it goes. You can now wait for 12 minutes. You can start chatting to your friends, the family, lay the table, or do whatever you need to do, and we'll be back to see what they look like. So for the last 5 minutes, what I did was I actually put it onto grill, so that, as you can see, we get this lovely brown finish of the breadcrumbs that have tinged with brown, and that the carrots have got a little bit of a caramelized tasting to them. And from here, we're ready to plate. So let's just move that out the way and show you what the end result looks like. And here we go. We've got some beautiful salmon. We've got the lovely orange flavored carrots. I sprinkled over some fresh thyme, served it with a bit of basil, and we had some extra orange because, don't forget, we zested it and we used some orange juice. So I've put some slices of orange on there as well, some lovely orange segments. And there you go, your 15 minutes gourmet pesto crusted salmon with orange carrots.